Okay, thank you so much.
Yeah, no worries, bro.
Hi guys, I'm here with all-time legend and future IBHOF Hall of Famer, which it will happen, Nonito Donaire. Nonito, my first question for you is like a fine wine. You just keep getting better. What do you attribute that to? I know in the beginning you were a great counterpuncher and slugger at the same time. What do you attribute is it greater knowledge, more comfortability in the ring?
I think a lot of it is the experience that I have, but ultimately for me is the mindset. I started to get into a level of mental health, mindset, and believing that I'm only as good as my mind can be. So with that mentality, I go to the gym, learning constantly, and pushing myself further than before. I mean, I've never worked as hard as I did in the past, comparing to, because I think I've accepted that I can push harder, and I think that's that mindset that I have that's allowing me to be rejuvenated.
By pushing harder, do you mean working on certain maybe defects that you previously had, or just training hard? Is that more road work, more sparring?
All of it. I mean, I don't do too much road work. It's all about strength and conditioning for me, and a lot of scientific stuff. But ultimately, it's pushing myself to a level. I train not every day. I rest in days that I need to rest, but I train harder than in one day. I'll train harder as long as I can be 100% in that one day. I'll train. If I feel like I'm gonna be in 80%, I'm gonna rest or do something different. But ultimately, it's being able to push 100% every time that I'm in the gym, but at the same time getting the proper rest for longevity.
Growing up as a kid, did you always dream of being a boxer? Did you have other aspirations? How did it get you to this point that you went into boxing?
I would be the last person to even want to box. I did a lot of things because I wanted to make my dad proud of me. Even though I was scared, the very first fight I had as an amateur fighter in California, I literally pissed in my pants because I was so scared, But I wanted to make my dad proud of me, and that's how I got started into it. And from that moment on, there was just a switch. From the very first fight, after 40 days of training, or 45 days of training, my dad put me in the amateur fight, and I won my first fight in the second fight. But there was a switch. There was this thing that just came out. This kid that was always shy, that was very introverted. There was a switch that he just, it was if it was a fight or flight, I was the kind of guy that fought.
It's amazing. That's really amazing. I have a lot of respect for you for the fact that you've come down on PEDs, and myself, I played football. I was around a lot of guys that used it. I saw dramatic strength increases, and then when they went off it, they weren't nearly the same athletes. So I have a lot of respect for that fact. And what I wanted to ask you here, integrity is an important part of the sport. It raises the sport to its upper limits. Why have you taken such an active stance in terms of this?
I'm a big believer when it comes down to integrity. I think that's part of my character. That's something that I value most, is integrity and respect. And for me, I love the sport of boxing, and I want to give it the right image, about clean sports, and respecting the sport that gave me everything, that allowed me to be me. So it's important to me to inspire others out there that you don't need to be on something to be good at something, or to be great, So that's why for me, I want to get every doubt out there and all the questions, whether what I've done in my career was real, and there's no question about that, because I have done them, with for a few years doing the all year round test.
Final question for you. Dream match. If you could box any fighter from the past, somebody you really admire, who would be your dream match?
Man, it's very hard for me to think of it that way, because I have such great respect for those fighters in the past. So to even put myself in that position is I feel that I'm not giving that respect. But I would say in my time, the fight that I wanted the most was that was me and him was in the same weight, was Lomachenko. You know, we were the same weight at 126 at one time. You know, that would have been a fun fight.
Thank you so much, and I know in several years from now we're definitely going to see you in the International Boxing Hall of Fame. You've had a marvelous career, sir. Thank you.
Thank you very much.